As a 22-year-old lender for real estate investors and business owners, so one of the questions I get a lot is what is the difference between and what kind of documentation do I need in order to qualify for these big loans and financial transactions that I want to do? So in this video, I'm going to cover the different levels of financing that is, well, the different levels of accounting documentation that is we typically want to see in order to qualify for these larger loans and so forth. And so the first level is what's called a compilation. And so basic what that is, it's, as financial documentation, CPA puts together, but usually what the CPA is doing, it's just compiling the information that the business owner has provided. And there's really no assessment of the material. That's been no internal controls that is conducted or anything. Basically, the outcome is just a a report of just putting the documents together, the financial data that the company provides. Hey, your bank statements as well as your bookkeeping reports or whatever, and then they just put it together. So that's the level one, right? Level two is a review. And a review is basically the CPA is, putting together, they're utilizing various accounting practices and principles. Um, they're inquiring about these things from the business owner, and they're using some analytical procedures to basically look at the differences, the unexpected variances that are made. Hey, I see this, it's different from this, and a lot of times that review report provides a summary of those findings, but doesn't really express an opinion on the fairness of those financial statements at the review level. But however, the audit, um, basically an auditor will examine the items, from financial tests, they'll test the documentation. Sometimes they'll come in to the business and observe how the inventory physically is done and doing accounts. They'll Inquiries are made to understand, basically how the business operates, the financial reporting, and they'll make a determination on if any fraud or error. They're looking for those kind of things. They'll take the point where there'll be a big level of internal control evaluation on your systems for the business. So basically, the outcome, ideally, auditors provide an unqualified opinion, basically indicating that the financial statements present a fair and confirm to the accounting principles that are generally accepted by in the United States, the GAAP principles. And so the really an audit is really the highest level, most rigorous financial statement service that a CPA can provide. And from now, as a financial institution, a bank and lender, how do they view all these things? Well, you can probably ascertain just based on the description of how the reports and everything are put together. But a compilation is limited acceptance. The banks will take the information, and some lenders as well as investors, but typically they're also going to want tax returns and maybe even bank statements associated with it. So they'll use it as context, but it's especially for big loans, it's hardly used at all, if any. But the reviews is typically used in various loan covenants. And what I mean by that is usually after a loan is uh, approved and funded, Maybe like on a quarterly basis, the bank will maybe want financial statements, and typically they'll take reviews, um, and, and instead of like an audit. And and a lot of times on the smaller loans, they're acceptable. They'll use it. And for some investors and lenders, they'll use it as well. Maybe there'll be other mitigating factors, but typically with reviews, you can get away with, for a lot of lenders, especially if it's a smaller loan. But the audit, I mean, that's like the stamp of approval. That's basically the highest level of assurance that a CPA, um, can provide to lenders, investors, and banks. And basically, banks usually will require, a lot of times, audited financials, especially these bigger loan amounts, for regulatory compliance. I mean, in order to issue loans at certain level and size, they require it. And audits would play a crucial role in decisions for these big loans. Um, so definitely continue to watch us for more information. And then in the description below, we provide a free link on the 5 ways to finance a business. And one of them is without actually taking out a loan. So you can watch that down below. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and follow us for more information.